Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, podcast for creatives. It is I, the mayor, Flobo Boyce, in the mayor's office, but I am not alone. I am being joined by host, cosplayer, journalist, and one of the two people that taught me everything there is to know about hosting. I owe my career to her. Give it up for Kari Lane. How's it going, Kari?
What's up? Thank you for having me. I was like, oh, that's such a sweet intro. I'm like, oh, stop it.
I mean, these
I'll
are all
pay you
true.
later.
Yes, checks in the mail. What's my Venmo? These are all true. Host, cosplayer, journalist. You are doing big things in the news space in Santa Barbara. I think I saw a clip of you on the internet a couple weeks ago. I think you're also on the film review side of things too.
Well, I've been doing my own film reviews, yeah, and actually I've been trying to do it more because I'd seen other friends like post kind of short reviews of stuff, and so I finally got onto Letterboxd. Amy Martinez, I finally did it. We posted together, and she posted about it, or she had talked about it, and this is not endorsed by Letterboxd. But I was like, all right, maybe I'll just write like a short thought on the film or whatever it is I watch, but not plot, because you can find the plot anywhere. Unless it is one of those don't read the plot, because there are those movies, it's better to know nothing. But anyway, yeah, so just been putting more of those out there. And then I had another friend, Leslie, who was like, hey, I do anime reviews as well on my YouTube. And was like, oh, you can put them on TikTok. But TikTok max is a minute, and my normal anime reviews are like 3 to 5. So to boil that down into 1 minute has been a fun challenge. I'm like, okay, let me tell you the important things of why you should watch this show in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have to just say things really fast? You get cutty? Like, how do you condense
It's more the important things that you would highlight that you would tell to convince a friend to watch it. So it's like, hey, I do maybe very basic concept, art style. I like talking about that because it's a visual medium, so it matters what it looks like.
True.
What are some of the highlights, or what are things maybe to look out for or just ignore because it's cheesy or whatever. Be like, hey, it does this, but I'm like, it's fine.
Right. So how'd you get into anime? Were you an anime fan forever? Or was this kind of like a thing you saw and said, this is my niche? Was it a mixture of both?
Well, I'm definitely lucky that I was in the age group. I don't know why that gestures age group, but group of people where it was on television, it was on the CW, it was on Fox Kids or whatever, and just a few different stations of like your basic stuff. But that was great because there was no streaming service yet. Semi-dating myself, but it was hard to get anime. You had to go to a place that sold DVDs. I don't think it was Suncoast Video, because then it really is a time period. But similar idea at the mall, and you buy. I still have some DVDs I bought from my early days, and then I remember like in high school there was a girl when I was a freshman. And I think she was a junior or senior, and she had Utena Revolutionary Girl, which is a really cool classic one. She had it on VHS tapes and had the soundtrack on cassette tapes, and those were so cool. And that was kind of the start of it. And then just made ease of access as I got older. I was part of an anime club in college. They did, I went to UC Riverside, and they did a field trip to Little Tokyo, which was like, this is so fun and exciting.
Yeah.
It's like your little weeb heart is so excited.
Weebs.
It's your weeb. I've heard some people not love that word. I feel it's okay. It's one of those, if you use it on yourself, of like, you're a nerd, but anime nerd, weeb. I'm like, sure.
It's very similar, because a lot of my friends and listeners to the show are wrestling fans. So it's like the term of mark. Mark is somebody who's like a super fan of wrestling that able to buy the merchandise. We call each other selves marks, but if someone's like, you're a mark, it's like, shut up. It's like, what are we arguing about? What was your childhood anime mix? Because for me, I had the same experience as you had. I watched Pokemon. I wasn't into Yu-Gi-Oh that much, but I watched Sailor Moon, a little bit of One Piece. But that was like the far as I went. What was your mix growing up as a kid?
Yeah, so I would say definitely with Sailor Moon. I didn't really ever get into Yu-Gi-Oh as well. I'm like, also Pokemon felt like the most washed down anime for me at the time, that I was like, no offense to Pokemon lovers, but it was just like, I don't know, maybe I haven't watched it in Japanese. I'm like, I wonder if the plot is more elevated in Japanese, because like Sailor Moon, the actual dialogue and intelligence level is more elevated in Japanese, but they were catering it for a younger audience here, so it's like It makes sense. Cardcaptor Sakura, which was a great one. That theme song is super different in Japanese as well. The American one, it's like adventure show, and then Japanese is like cutesy, like adorable. And you're like, whoa, that's a totally different. But I mean, the show's the same, but like the intro to get boys to watch it too.
I'm so into intros. The intros have set the whole tone for me.
It's true. It makes a big difference. Dragon Ball Z. I watched a bit of it, not necessarily super in order that I'd be like, I know exactly when these things happen, but I remember like a bit of it. Digimon was a good classic. Monster Rancher was really fun.
It's funny you mentioned that song is on my MP3 player. Dating myself.
Nice,
so I'll be on a jog and it's like Monsters Rule, Monster Rancher.
I'm trying to think of any other ones. Those were the big ones. Those were on television. And I feel like there might have been more, but those were like the main block. Sure. So that was the gateway drug of time.
I love it. And so on your YouTube channel now, you do anime reviews, and you said on your shows you do quote, sub, and dub. You've gained yourself into a community, and I know the community may be very, very adamant about their content and those who do it. Like, how has the community embraced you as a host? Has it been easygoing? Has it been challenging? Where did it land for you?
Well, to be honest, for anybody who doesn't know, I generally prefer sub if I'm watching on my own. Though I have a major mad respect and appreciation for dub and those actors, because I've met many of them, friends with some of them, and had a bunch of them on as guests on shows that I've done. So, but the thing that's like the bigger idea is, if you don't like it, it's not for you, and that's okay. Nobody's making you watch it. So if you don't like it, don't watch it. It's okay. So it's definitely the personal preference. Like, it depends. Like, maybe I don't love subtitles, like when it's late at night and I'm more tired, and then it's more work to read it. But, I'm probably not going to put on a dub myself unless I'm like reviewing it.
Right.
So it's like, no offense to my friends. It just doesn't. But I also have an interest in learning Japanese. So I like trying to essentially have my ears consume of as much of the language as possible, even though, yes, like that's not exactly how people talk, but still, it's like you're just hearing the words and phrases that you can pick up on things along the way. And yeah, as you mentioned, so I just finished doing, now when this airs, this will be a little while later, but just did Sword Art Online, Alicization, War of Underworld. It's a very long title. It's also a very long running show. It's been around for like 10 years. Wow. But we just did the last arc where pretty much all of it was done in quarantine, where I self-produced the episodes where we had voice actors, myself, had voice actors on, as well as English cast director. So it was really fun to talk about the show with their perspective. And then I was watching the episode like on Toonami with all the other people watching. So it was cool, and I appreciate it. And it was fun in that way to watch sub and dub, because I watched sub like months ago when it came out. And then it was fun to rewatch it to see what differences, if things made more sense, having it explained in English, because this show, especially this back half of it, is very techy and philosophical stuff. So you're like, what? Can you explain that again?
Right. Huh? Yeah. So is there with anyone who picks or is chosen and it chooses them, they have something they become, is there a pressure to keep abreast in this world, or is this kind of a thing where it's all a sponge to you, where it's like, oh yeah, I just have to be in it. I live it, I breathe it. Not a big problem. Do you find yourself slipping behind? Like, how do you handle that if you do?
This is definitely one of those hashtag first world problems, that there is so much content. So it's like, it's probably impossible to really honestly be caught up with everything. You could be familiar with everything and like be interested, but I think it'd be really hard, because I've encountered it where maybe I talk to people who are super knowledgeable about all the current shows that are streaming or coming out right now, simulcast, but then they don't know about all these fun and obscure ones, or ones that are maybe only 5 years old, but they're like, I don't know, I've never heard of it. And I'll be like, well, let me tell you about it. So I think there's kind of a mix of both, but I think it's not a problem if you're coming late to the party, because you'll still find the people who like it. But I also really like finding those older shows, or maybe not as widely known shows, and be like, hey, have you seen this? Or maybe you missed it. Like I finally started watching Haikyuu, and that's the boys volleyball one. And I had known about it. I knew what it was. I knew the visuals. I didn't know the plot or anything, but I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen the images for that. And I'm only just now started watching, but I'm like, that's fine. It was more interesting to me now to watch it versus maybe when I started it or when I could have started it or something like that. So I like to be aware maybe of what's going on, but I don't have any lofty goals of like, I'm going to watch everything. I'm like, that's not possible.
I had so much time in the day. There's only so many hours in the day.
And the thing is, too, different people could like different genres, too. Like maybe you like the more shonen fighting genres, or maybe you want the more, more friendship and romance and shoujo and go that way. But also literally what it looks like really matters to me because it's like I like certain styles. So I would gravitate towards that more. So if I don't like it, like visually, I might not watch it yet. But maybe I'll give every show a chance. Like I'll watch at least the first 3 to 5 episodes. To give it a chance of like, all right, because you can't just watch the first episode, people. It's like, come on, that's not really fair. Like right. 3 to 5 is where you get into the plot, and then if it's not for you, that's okay. Nobody's making you watch it. It's okay.
Yeah, I had a recent anime experience. It's a really big show, and I watched it. It wasn't for me, and I can't say it out loud because all the fans hit me up in the DMs.
I was gonna say, what is it?
It was I actually wrote it down here. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
That's fair.
Not really fan of things.
But you know what? That's the thing of like fans. You can love it, and if someone doesn't like it, don't hate on them for not liking it.
Please don't hate me.
It's more like, hey, you haven't watched it? Come, let me show you this awesome thing. Like it should be more that, like a fan going, let me tell you about this amazing thing. Let me tell you about our Lord and Savior. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, that feels like let me tell you. I do feel some fans get like that, and it's like, whoa, slow your roll. Like if you really want someone to be into it, you should share it as that fan who loves it.
Yeah.
But also, if you're not watching it, don't be hating on it and you haven't even watched it yet.
True.
I was going to say, go ahead.
No, I was saying true. You're absolutely right.
My friend Jasmine, she posts about JoJo's constantly and like cosplays and whatever. And I've kind of teased her because I know her. It's well that you can't do this to a stranger. But like, I'll be just like, it's not my thing. But I've read a couple of the manga volumes, and I haven't really watched the show, but just the visual style to me was like, I don't really like it.
Yeah.
And it's an extremely exaggerated vibe from what I've seen, and I could understand people not, that not clicking with them, and that's okay.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, I used to read when I was in high school. I was into mangas for a bit. Had a manga phase, and like there's certain situations where I love story, like Initial D. I love the story of Initial D, but I do not like the art. So it's like I gotta suffer through the art.
Yeah.
Like what happens next? But enough about that because I can talk to you about Initial D all day long because I am a nerd. I was actually perusing your Instagram at Kari Lane, and it turns out you have a portfolio of cosplay out there, and which I'm impressed because I tried it once and I was terrible at it. But 2, how do you go about selecting the ones that you want to like adapt? I know there's being fans of the characters, but then sometimes you can be a fan of a character and go, I'm not really feeling it. How do you pick and select?
No, that's a really good question. When you pick a cosplay for myself, I really do, similar to watching anime that's not unpopular, just not as well known. I do like picking things that are maybe more obscure, because I'm not going to be making the incredible cosplays other people are going to be doing. So I don't want to be that one of like 100 other people in the same costume. It's like showing up to an event and having the same outfit as somebody else. Like I'd rather pick a deep cut outfit of theirs or a lesser known character or show. And my favorite, because I have basic sewing skills, like my mom and I, like one year I sewed pillowcases as gifts for Christmas, but I'm not making anything on my own, like sitting at home making something. Yeah. But I do love the cosplay. Anybody could do it, like thrift store and closet cosplay, in terms of as long as you have the basic like block colors of what something is or basic idea of what it is, most people get it. Or like a casual Friday version of it. Like I did kind of a casual Friday version of Aurora from Last Unicorn. I'm like, no, okay. Aurora. It's Amalthea. There we go. I have a dress. It's like it's just like a basic sundress kind of thing, but it's the right shade of purple. And she has a dress that's purple. And I just did the wig, everything, and like the makeup, how I would do it. So it achieved that goal of it looks like her, but yes, it's not the same. Or it's like thrift store repurposed. Like I did Rin Tosaka from Fate Stay Night. And that one was, I found a schoolgirl skirt at the thrift store. I think I bought thigh-high tights from like just a department store. Shoes were thrift store. And this, let me tell you, finding a sweater shirt in July, I pretty much was like, I'm going to a convention. I'm going to Anime Expo. I want to make a costume. And this is probably the earlier days of conventions for me. And I was like, I want to make a costume. And so I just went and finding a sweater because it's a turtleneck that she kind of has. And it's pleated looking. I'm like gesturing to my arm that you can't see. But it's kind of like a pleated vibe on the shirt. So that's not right. But it was the right shade of red. And I just did puff paint to do the design on the chest and then like the buttons. So I was like, sure. And my own hair was at that time close enough to what her hair was. Yeah. So I've done that too. Like, what wig do I have, or what is my actual hair close enough?
Does the method change now that we're been locked down for 12 months here in California? Do you do things for a different? Because there's no convention, so I'm assuming you're doing.
Yeah, it's like you're not going anywhere. Yeah,
TikTok or your Instagram. Do you think of it differently, or is it kind of the same deal? Do you worry about portability?
Right. I haven't done any specific cosplays recently, but like, for example, with TikTok, with anybody, if you're ever inspired by it, just do it. Like, that's how I'm making my videos. Nothing is super grandiose planning or whatever. It's more, oh, that looks cool. That gives me an idea, and that's what I'm going to do. So there's this like sound effect that's really like cheesy. It's like, it's a kitty cat, something like that. Never mind. I'm not going to sing it. I don't know it. But it's cheesy and cute. And I was like, I kind of want to do something with that. So I don't know if I'll put on a wig for that. And also, let's be real. My hair looks like anime hair in a way right now. Purple short hair.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Yeah, I haven't done as much. Oh, actually, that's another shift. In doing more press-related work at conventions, I haven't done as much cosplay because one, which is not to say you can't do presses and cosplay at the same time. Totally fine. But in my own experience, if I wear wigs and they come and go, I've had people not recognize me later, and that can kind of be a problem because they'll just be like, wait, like you met someone the day before and you're like, hey, I'm going to come tomorrow for an interview or blah, blah. And then they'll just be like,
yeah, who you were?
Yeah. So either they don't recognize you, or I think depending on the costume, it can be just distracting from your guest or whoever it is you're talking to. Because the point is for you to get, you're shining a light on them and whatever the topic is. So if you're distracting, that's one thing. Sure. Unless like maybe if it's tied in, like maybe you're cosplaying as a character that voice actor has done. That'd be actually a cool tie-in. That'd be nice. Or it's just maybe sometimes people don't seem to take you as seriously, which is unfortunate. Because it's like, I'm in a convention, I'm dressed up. And then they just kind of go like, okay. Yeah. So then I go for more like nerdy chic, like a cool graphic tee or color, and then like more colorful and comfortable because you're standing a lot and walking around a lot.
Right.
So then that's more what I've done. But it depends. Yeah, it kind of just depends literally. Like, do I feel like doing it?
Yeah. Do all your pursuits in the anime and cosplay and expressing yourself, is that something you do in tandem with your significant other? Or is that kind of like a thing you have just for Kari while you get to pursue your career at the same time?
Right. I do most of it myself because I want to do it, but it does get tagged along.
Sure.
They've been in projects of mine because I needed somebody to help out. But conventions, if you've gone, it can be very uncomfortable all day. So finding costumes that are comfortable and functional is kind of hard. So then it's much easier that like, I'll just do it and that's fine.
Yeah, I do my thing.
But there's been some, like for Halloween, we've dressed up together, but not as much conventions because it's hard to find ones. And then also it's just like, you want to find something that's cool, but then generally I always get the ideas like last minute. So it's like, okay, maybe not.
Sure. You do so much. And I know you don't need me to tell you that because you know you do it. Because whether or not it is the hosting, whether or not it's the watching, the research, I love the way how you structure your show that tells you the craft you have. I always wonder this because with your other responsibilities, the day job, i.e., what is the dream? What does Kari Lane want to do? What is going to be the one thing on that list of slashes that's going to be first when someone describes what you do?
I love hosting, but I do know that most conventional like television broadcasting, I am not the demographic of what they want me to look like. As in these, these,
Mm-hmm.
these, and I don't want to these, and I don't want to change that because I've definitely got to that point where I'm like, I don't want to change it because I've done. I was talking to a friend of like I did background work a lot, like 2013, maybe it was around 2013-ish, 12, 11, a lot. And it was super fun. It was a really great experience and everything. But I definitely at that time, my hair was basic. Nothing wrong with basic hair, everybody. Calm down. But like, I finally added a colorful streak to my hair that I could hide if I needed to. And then I finally got past that point of like, well, I don't want to do that anymore. I'd rather just be whatever. And if I'm the wrong look for that, which is totally fine. Because hosting too, like you could be just as skilled at it as I am, but like maybe they just want a dude's point of view or whatever. Like it could be as simplistic as that. And then there's nothing I can do about that. I'd be like, all right, well then it's fine. Yeah. So I'm more doing what I can do with what I am now. Ooh, that sounded all wordy and stuff. So making my own content, which for anybody who wants to do whatever, make your own content and just make it. Like you'll get better as you go. Cause that's the other thing too. I'm like, well, let me just make my own reviews of shows I like. And cause that's the other thing. I do it on shows I like. Cause someone's like, well, how do you pick it? I'm like, well, if I like it. Cause if I don't like it, I'm not going to be recommending it.
Yeah.
Nor will I sound excited. Like, yeah, watch this show. You're going to sit there and edit. So unless you do one take like TikTok, that's the other easy way to do TikTok. You don't have to edit. I mean, you can, but you could just do it as one take. So I would love eventually to be doing, I think it'd be really great to be doing like travel hosting because I've done that on my own as well. Like I make it feel like you've come on this trip with me, which I have seen really cool TikTok videos do that too of like, hey, you want to go? And like, all right, you're coming with me. So that idea, but maybe like an Anthony Bourdain, but clearly a younger demographic / younger people are, well, we can't right now, but like traveling and trying things and showing like, hey, just trying new food or places, activities, like those are super fun. Like I did a cruise in Norway and I went on I'm blanking on what its name is, but it's like just a special boat and it was going in the fjords and it was super exciting. And I was like holding my phone to videotape it. I'm like, do not drop it because it will be gone. I did not drop it. Don't worry. But like, filmed myself on that. And then after talked about the experience. So like that kind of idea. Also as well, I love the idea of doing something kind of like Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, where you're interacting with your guests. So similar to what we're doing now in a way, but also maybe you do fun activities too, so that you get to know them. But I like longer form interview rather than whatever we seem to see as an audience where it's only like 5 or 10 minutes. Like you can't really get into meaty stuff
right
in a short time and feel satisfied. Maybe you could get there, but then it'd be like, cool, thanks for coming. Bye.
it's like, so your biggest fear is spiders. See you next week.
Yeah. And I want to say it's Lily Singh. She's kind of doing that. I've watched some of her show, and that was really fun. Yeah. And she had, speaking of wrestling, she had a couple wrestlers on.
Oh.
I don't remember I don't know who they were, so I can't remember who they were. She had an interview thing with them, and then she did an activity thing with them. And so I'm like, oh, that'd be really fun to have that kind of like a talk show format and interview people because I just enjoy that and like humble brag of I feel I'm good at that as well, because you just need to have that natural curiosity and conversation flow. Because there are plenty of people, let's be honest, that you go to message them or you go to message them or something, and they're just like, yeah, I'm fine. And you're just like,
help me out here. Give me something.
I feel I can get that flow with a lot of people, and I like it. And it just feels like it comes naturally compared to, I've tried acting and I was just like, that just didn't feel natural the way it seemed to my friends or something like that. But
you're done acting.
Huh?
You're done acting. You're not going.
I don't unless somebody brings me on for something, sure. But I'm done with. I just never loved the audition process. I didn't love the submitting. I didn't like taking the acting classes. I mean, it was fun for what it was, but I wasn't like, this is my dream. So it's just like then that's good. Like if you realize that, that's better than spending time doing something you're unhappy doing. So. Yeah. But it added to my own experience of I do like directing more because that was the problem when I acted. I thought of directorial things more than I did the acting things.
Right.
Like what it looks like, what I want from it and whatever versus like giving it. So, but then they all kind of interhelp each other because then I understand what's like on that side. I understand better of how I would give a direction or what I explain what I want to somebody. So, yeah.
So focusing on the hosting thing is kind of the avenue.
That's probably the most, yeah.
Well,
like same thing directing. I haven't really made, directing my own content, I guess, because I've made skits and I'm trying to make more. I'm trying to make more on my TikTok / it will just go on to Instagram later anyway. So if you're not on TikTok, it's okay.
I kind of am, but I haven't re-downloaded it.
I haven't done it yet. Yeah.
I have an account. It's there, but I deleted it because I was like, I don't know what to do here. And then, of course, the whole issue about it.
You don't know what to do about it.
I deleted the app. I didn't delete the account. But it was kind of like, I don't know what to do. Am I a sketch comic? Am I just a
you do whatever you
guy?
Want.
I'm not dancing. I'm dancing.
Like it's kind of make whatever you want to make, and the people who like that will find you.
True. But what do I want to make on TikTok? I guess the platform.
Watch stuff and like whatever inspires you, then do that. Like, and then and ideas on TikTok. If anybody wants to make a thing, find things that inspire you. Like if you go, ooh, this is cool. I like to watch a lot of whatever that thing is. Like if it's a song, if it's a dance, if it's a trend, if it's a challenge, watch a bunch of versions of it so that you can see what you do like, don't like, and not telling them you don't like it, but just going, oh, okay, I don't like how this lighting is, or I don't like how the camera changed. Like more like that. Like if you made it, what would you change on it? Like I did the silhouette challenge and I did practical lighting. I didn't want to do an effect. I didn't want to do an app to adjust it. So, but that was my own thing of like, ooh, how can I make this with what I have and not change it? So then, just do that of watching stuff and be like, oh, I like this, or if it just whatever ideas it gets you.
To your credit, when a trend goes viral, I'm like, I wonder what Kara's gonna do, and sure enough, within 2 days, it's like, okay, it delivers, bam.
I tried. I've done those more recently because the thing is, also, I'm seeing my friends do it, and either a funny one, like Yale, she did one where she did a busted challenge, not the busted challenge, she did silhouette challenge and did a more comedic route. And I was like, that's really funny. And I'm not surprised. I was a little disappointed she didn't do it fully. That's okay. Spoilers. But I like that, like, she made it her own, So I like seeing the friends do it. And I'm like, oh, I like what they did. I also watched James, who's been on your show. I've watched his TikToks of just advice. I haven't done that yet. I haven't really done TikTok where I just talk to TikTok.
Right.
But I thought that of funny moments and just do those. But I haven't gotten there yet. But that's fine. Just make it whenever you want.
Coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. I have ideas, and I have a skit thing too that I'm like, I just need to figure out how to do it because I see all the other people film like the back and forth conversational thingies, and I'm like, I haven't done it yet. But you learn it by doing it. I just haven't done it.
Yeah, you definitely learn by doing. But I'm sitting here talking about TikToks and being on it, so don't listen to me, Kari. I'm the worst advice. Your stuff goes everywhere. It seems YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Plus more stuff. What's missing in your distribution buffet, I guess? Like,
Twitch.
Is there any
That's probably the only one I haven't done yet.
I'm surprised. What's going to be the long form version? Is it going to be gaming? Is it going to be advice?
I've seen people. I'm curious, like, if what we're doing, if like people would watch that on Twitch, But that's why it's fine on YouTube because the other thing is, depending what it is, you just listen to it, So that's fine. I haven't really gotten the game. I feel like I wouldn't call myself a gamer, though. I feel that is one of those, if you game at all, you are. So it's like,
totally.
Sure. I remember like the good old days of Age of Empires where you played some random person online, and that was super fun on a PC. And I have a PlayStation 3, and I feel like it's one of those. If I probably sat down and started playing some stuff, I can get into it, but it takes time. And that's the other thing of where do you want to allocate your time? And for me, it's generally like, I want to sit down and watch like 5 movies or hours and hours of a show.
Right.
Oh, but hours of game, I'm like, maybe later. But I have games sitting on my shelf. I just haven't played them.
I gotcha. Kind of the opposite because I'm in a Rocket League, and so I spend time practicing. But my Netflix queue is looking at me like, "Bruh, are you going to hit this at all?" I even had a Netflix show, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm working on that."
It depends on. Again, it's one of those first world problems. Too many things to watch. This past few days, I've finally like really powered through a few more movies. I'm like, oh, I'm finally watching movies. It's like, oh, I don't have time for a movie, but 5 hours of a TV show.
Yeah.
You're like, whoops.
Is that what you do for fun? Is that what fun Kari does?
I feel that's part of my hobbies if I do like watching stuff. But I mean, that kind of adds to the making of content is watching other content because you get ideas from other people. Like right. I watch a couple like beauty guru people of skincare. Shout out of watching. I like Skincare with Hiram. Really good channel. James Walsh is great. Ooh, so it's interesting also seeing men talk about skincare. And one Hiram's here in the U.S., Hawaii, and then James is in UK somewhere. And it's kind of cool to hear different opinions. Then there's also a lady, Mixed Makeup, I think is what she calls it, Susan Yara, which that's had some interesting controversy things with some things she released. And then I had to go to YouTube and be like, what's going on? Why are people upset? Yeah. Watching There you go. I watch a lot of YouTube and a lot of TikTok. And then that's my other fun thing. I like sending videos and things to my friends. I'm like, oh, I hope you like this. And then it's nice when they actually say they do. Because if they don't say anything, then you're like, did you like it? Because it's like, should I not send more? Because if you're on my list of sending people, I probably send you like multiple videos that are either like cool, sexy, funny, interesting, or like if you're into horror related stuff, it's a horror related content. Yeah. But if you don't say anything, then I'm like, this is what the kids do.
Yeah, it's funny because like no one twiddles with thumbs anymore. I do have a couple friends that send me memes. Yeah, I'll see turtle. Turtle. I have a couple of friends that do send me stuff, memes, and I got to have in the same boat. I'm like, I feel I should say something. It's a gift. I should acknowledge this.
Well, like Instagram, double tap it. You liked it. That is response enough.
Yeah.
That means I've seen it because I know you've seen it. Because I do like the Instagram will be like, seen.
Yeah. Boo, blowing up my spot.
I've seen it, but
I'm left on red.
Yeah.
We're still in the top quarter of 2021. Just I don't know if you do resolutions. You have any plans or goals this year? What does Kari Lane want to do? How is she going to take over the world this time?
Well, no, I didn't really do resolutions, and I have seen very interesting, like, different opinion on if it's good or bad. Because I think it's more just if there's something you want to do, a resolution, sometimes you feel like, oh, I didn't do it, and then it's done. It's like, no, like every day, like this is your new plan. Like I'm trying to go to bed earlier, so I have more time in my morning. And there's this last week I was staying up till 3, so I wasn't doing so good. But then when I went to bed at like 2 or 2:30, I was like, yes. So it just kind of depends on. It's an ever evolving cycle of improvement. That's a good question. Because this one anime show finished, so I'm like, well, what one would be next? I don't know yet. I have an idea for like not a multi-episode thing, but looking at a particular anime show. I'm not going to say what it is because I don't know if this is happening yet, but it's a anime and there's a live action. And so I'm like, oh, it'd be really cool to like invite some of the people involved with the anime and be like, let's talk about it as just like, we like the anime. And then they made live action. Let's chat.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that's one thing that's like out there as an idea. I probably want to get back into doing more movie reviews because I haven't done a sit-down one of those in a while, but I haven't watched a lot of new anime that I want to make a thing of because I'm catching back up. Dr. Stone is back. Oh my gosh, y'all, if you aren't watching that show, it's really good. Also, Attack on Titan is on the final season, so that's also really good. There's a lot of things that finally pay off by now. There's been some moments that are like, yes!
Yeah. Like anime is like one of the good art forms of not stretching things out, but having you on the edge of your seat, show after show. Yeah.
But maybe I might do more of like how I've watched some of the movies and put them on TikTok of recommendations because there's like maybe it's on Netflix and you haven't seen it. Like last night I watched Namaste Wahala. Now that's a movie that if you like Bollywood, it's very on brand vibe. It is a bit cheesy, but I feel, again, it's on brand of like what you would expect, but it's a cute romance thing. And there's a lot of things I liked in it. So maybe I might do more other reviews as well and then be like, someone here, pay me to make them. No.
Right. If it works out, it works out.
Right. So, but I'd say in general, I have, and I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. I don't really do the, what is my 5-year plan? What is this plan? I'm a bit more like, hey, this thing is working. Let's go with that thing. Oh, wait, this thing is working. Let's go with that thing. And it's a bit more like ebb and flow, go where it's, if that thing's working, do more of that, whatever it is.
Yeah, 5-year plan's overrated.
Or make shows with you, because we've done the American Gods after show kind of thing.
Yeah, man, that changed my life.
Oh, right, it's such a good show. I'm so glad. Yay. Coming up, there's no official thing yet, but Wynonna Earp is coming out for their last bit, and the people who had been covering it since the beginning, we did our own quarantine version of covering it on our own, and so we're planning to come back for this last bit. No details yet, so when you watch this, I don't know if we're doing it, but probably go follow me and you'll find out when it is. So excited to be covering that show again, because that's the end.
Just real quick, I have seen your Bollywood content and coverage. Is that kind of the same thing with your anime thing? Were you just a fan of the culture? Did you take a trip to India and was like into it? How did that happen?
Well, no, I have not been to India yet. So if anybody wants to pay me to be a travel host to go,
there you go, synergy.
Putting that out. That's what I want in the universe. No, I had liked, like, Bend It Like Beckham is kind of that gateway-y one of just kind of like a glimpse of it. I hadn't really seen much. And then when I was in college, we had a Bollywood film class, which was super fun. And something that's really cool about it is our teacher was saying how this was also the early days of YouTube. She was able to cover a lot because you could access so many clips on YouTube versus trying to find the content to talk about it and everything, because before it was really hard and you'd have a copy of a copy of a copy. And I do have some of those DVDs that I bought at the Bollywood video stores where it's a burned copy of a copy of a copy. So
it's your story. I have one too.
Hey, it's just one. Which one do you have?
I have Omkara and Fight Club Members Only, which came around the same time. I was in London in 2006, but yeah.
The one I have that's the burned one is Om Shanti Om, and I'm like, but it works. If that's what you can get, and then that's fine. So then I was taking the Bollywood film class, and then also at that time there was a Bollywood dance class happening, and I'm like, oh, perfect, I'll take it. And it was actually really kind of a cool cross learning experience, because then we had the class and the movements and everything, and then I had a really good person in my Bollywood film class who I was just like, so why are they using the shoe? Like, explain things, and because she's Bollywood American kind of person grew up here, but she's Indian. And she loved Bollywood, because just because you're Indian does not mean you like Bollywood. I've encountered that as well. And so then that just kind of spurred it. And I was in a Bollywood dance troupe for a while from that class. So that was really fun. So we performed at a couple weddings and cultural events, which was really fun. And it was just really great to learn about it and embrace it and really participate in it as well. And it does make for later side notes of interesting discussions about appreciation versus appropriation.
Yeah.
So it's do you
want to share some thoughts on that now? I mean, I know if it's uncomfortable.
Well, I say I feel you can participate if you are genuinely interested in whatever it is and you appreciate it and where it comes from, and you're not exploiting it for your own gain, or you haven't made fun of or put down whatever it is. Like, I always had it where if anybody was doing the dumb Quickie Mart Indian accent jokes, I was just like, no, it's not funny. I don't stop. So then you call that out of so then don't be later making that joke, So it's I'm looking at whoever you are that makes that is don't do that. It's not funny.
Yeah.
And it's go ahead.
Does anyone hit you up and say, hey, you shouldn't be wearing that or appreciating that or dancing that way or doing these festivals? Or
no? And I would say, and I clearly cannot speak for as a whole, but I have found with Indian cultural stuff, as a group, everybody's been far more welcoming and excited. Like, oh, you like our XYZ? Like, that's awesome. And they're just so excited that you're excited about it. But I am genuinely excited and like, I love the food, and I own a few saris, and I have traditional Indian attire that either I've bought myself or it's been a gift. And I worked at the Indian Film Festival for like 10 years as a volunteer and staff, and then press, and then would dress up in cultural attire. It's not really dress up. If anybody wants to pull that word out there too. No, it's like, it felt so cool and appropriate to wear that kind of outfit. And it felt like, you're just like, oh, I feel so beautiful wearing it at this event. It's just the colors and just the history behind it is beautiful and just so exciting. So that was really kind of just, then that all built. But then again, similarly, I learned through the Indian Film Festival, which does not really cover Bollywood movies, side note. So it's more like indie cinema. And I would talk to people and they're like, oh my gosh, you know way more Bollywood than I do, or something like that. Like, oh, know, you're really into it. So I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a bit.
Yeah, I just as afar, it's really interesting to see how much you've leaned in. I have seen some of the saris; they are featured on your Instagram, and I was like, man, Kari was really about this, you know. But you hit the nail on the head about appreciation versus appropriation, and maybe that's a discussion for another time. But I really feel like there is a difference, and thankfully, you're erring us out of caution there.
And then it's the other of just like learning experience. Like, for example, I we'll be real share here, people. When I was in like 7th grade, I went and got my hair braided because I thought that was cool. And I did my own braiding my hair just like creatively of like, ooh, let me do styles. And I went to, my dad worked in a more predominantly Black area, and I was visiting, he was a veterinarian, and I was visiting, and I went, his salon that he went to get his haircut was like a Black salon, because I never really asked like why there, but that was the spot he went, and I went there to get my hair braided because I was like, this is so cool, and it was super fun, and I loved having it. I always thought braids look cool too. I did not get like the extensions or anything put in it. It was just a neat, I liked it. And then I even experienced the one moment where I went to a really small middle school, and it was very more casual relationship of like, it wasn't so formal of teacher to student per se, and do not misconstrue that or anything, because I feel like anything you say, people will be like, well, no, like our teachers were first names. You could say a first name. So I had one moment, I remember in one of my, I think it was in their history or social studies class, and my teacher came up and like picked up a braid. I'm like, whoa, no, like that. So but it was good for me to learn that then, to understand how violating and invasive it felt for just me. So I can't even imagine the full extent of how it would feel for anybody that this is their day-to-day life. So that was the thing where I appreciated it, and I was glad I got to try it. And it wasn't, I felt I did it in, like, would I do braids now? Probably not. Wouldn't go to a salon now, but at like 7th grade, and I thought it was cool, and I went to an actual Black salon. It was the best I could do at that time. And I think that's the thing too, is if people learn like, okay, maybe that's not the best thing, but I never like made fun of it, or I never felt it was any less. I just was like, it's so cool. Because I also grew up I grew up in Solvang. It's predominantly like white or Latinx. There's how many Asian people and Black people you could probably count on 2 hands. Yeah. For what I interacted with. So it was just, and maybe at that point you're maybe exoticizing it, but I didn't think I was at that time. It was just more like, I've seen whatever people like, again, out of the white or Latinx, like you see those people on movies. And so it's so like such great experience to actually interact with other people that aren't what you see.
Sure.
That's a very long-winded and wordy thing. And I hope that makes sense. It isn't misconstrued in any weird way or whatever.
I mean, I'm only misconstruing it because I haven't had hair in my head for like 10 years, but I totally get what you mean there. I mean, there's something from almost an innocence of saying, oh, this is cool, let me do it. Or this is something that makes me feel empowered, let me do it. With not say disregard of culture, but independent of a culture. And it's a whole different thing than like, say, like you're saying, exploding someone's hair, or like taking pictures of it saying, I'm a part of this culture now because I have a hairstyle.
Oh, God, no. Oh,
that is, that's something completely different. But yeah, you cool. You don't need me to tell you that, though.
When you're explaining stuff to some people and you're just like, I really hope nobody takes that whatever the wrong way. But I think when you honestly mean something with true and honest intention, people get that. And so similarly, or adjacent, participating in Indian cultural things, in wanting to like legit participate and like learn about it and everything, I think people get that. And that's the difference with the appreciation or appropriation. Because it's like, are you appreciating? Like, absolutely, I wore bindis, but do I wear a bindi on like my day-to-day? No.
Right.
But at like an Indian cultural event, does it feel like it's super part of it? I'm like, yes. And like I'm still friends with the Bollywood dance instructor that way back when of taking that dance class. And like, I had that conversation with her, like, and we talked about that within the dance troupe of like, is it weird if we wear like a bindi? And she's like, no, it's more like, it's just like a piece of jewelry. There are certain, like, if you're doing the red in the hairline and like more the red dot of like, and then other symbols that can be done. But like the really pretty decorative ones, it's like you're wearing a piece of jewelry. It's beautification stuff. I have a bunch of them and they're super fun and they're beautiful. And I'm really sad that like Holi hasn't been happening these last couple years. That's another great event. I feel other people should go. People are like, oh, the color run. I'm like, go to Holi and find out where the actual event came from and where the colors are part of.
Yeah, color runs are like, that's appropriation. Let's be honest.
That's a little thing where you understand where this came from. But then that's the thing too. I like looking up where things came from, even on the basic level. So if anybody wants to share a video or post, it's really easy to find the original poster, share from them, please. It's like, come on, share the original content person who made it. Unless it's an account, like I've seen other ones where they're like, shared with permission by, and so then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But it's so easy. I feel people just share something so quickly online, and it really just takes an extra like 30 seconds to be like, ideally they've tagged the person. So then you can be like, okay, then this is the original poster. Unless it's like buried in their Instagram. I've had that happen where I'm like, I really wanted to share it from your page, but I can't find it. Or it's private, and then you're like, well, I wanted to share you, but then tag them. So again, same idea of like learning the information and learning where things came from is part of that process as well, of the appreciation.
I hope people tag and share your stuff. Kari, thanks so much for rolling through us on this episode of Knew Amsterdam Radio. Appreciate it. But tell the world how they can tag you in content, see all your stuff, get autographs, all that stuff.
Yes. Wait, there it is. It's like a mirror, if anybody's wondering. I'm like, it's backwards. Yes, you can find me online at Kari D. Lane on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and then YouTube. You could just search my name. So I actually have 2 YouTube pages. I have the one that's more professional, and then I have one that's more casual. So the casual one is like, I went to Six Flags, and here's a video of Six Flags, or something like that. So it's a little bit more just random. But then over the professional one, it's more content like what you're watching now, or short films I've made as well. And then speaking of Bollywood, I made a Bollywood short film for the Bollywood film class, and that's on there as well. And it's super cheesy, and if you laugh, that's good because that's what we intended.